What is going on, Evan Nation? John Pepe here with Henry Wilson. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Show. Today, we're taking a look at an 11-game main slate. It was 12. We had the White Sox Nationals games, as you correctly warned everybody yesterday. May not happen. It did not happen. Got rained out, so they did a doubleheader here today. Unfortunately, that means they removed that game from today's main slate, so we're down to 11 games. If you watched the preview show, we were talking a lot of Nationals on that show, so we unfortunately not able to use Mitchell Parker, not able to use some of the bats. So we're kind of reevaluating. I was on the playbook today. Have a pretty good idea of where I want to go, and the field is kind of in the same spot. I just updated the rostership projections over at Fantasy Alarm here, so you can go check those out. Henry, my friend, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, losing the game for the doubleheader is a little bummer, but like if all teams lose, Nationals, White Sox, like I know you're in on some of the Nats guys, but like I think we can live. We'll move on.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the Dodgers, it's we're perfectly okay. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Justin already in here in the chat. Good luck and thanks for the content. Thanks for tuning in every day, Justin, man. We certainly appreciate your support. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. It's a free way to support what we do here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. If you have any questions or comments, just throw them in the chat. We'll bring them up on screen. We'll address them. We'll help you set your lineups here today. I'll go ahead and throw the playbook in there for everybody as well who are our Fantasy Alarm subscribers. You'll be able to check that one out. Since we got so many games to bring up, let's just go to it here. Dylan Cease is $11,000. He is your top price pitcher. No surprise, he's also your top rostered starting pitcher here today. Coming off of a 7 shutout, 12 strikeout game, now gets a home start against the Colorado Rockies. Playing him is really not a hard decision. It's playing him and then building a lineup around him that can be a bit difficult at the price here, Henry.
Yeah, no, totally. 11K is like a super high price tag. And so sometimes you could want to be like, okay, 11K, he's also most owned. Like maybe I should go somewhere else. But like, it's really hard to not play Dylan Cease. Like there's a reason he's that much owned and a reason he's this expensive. He's been incredible.
Yeah, and the strikeout numbers, obviously, again, 12 strikeouts coming off of a 40 fantasy point performance. Got to love some of the pitch counts here. I mean, 110, 113 pitches, thrown. Rarely do you see guys get, much above 90 these days. And he's got 3 games over 100 just in the last 5. Start of the season there, 3 games over 100 in the first 4. So San Diego willing to get their money's worth out of his arm, and he is delivering. So like I said, right now he's looking around 30% in the early rostership projections here, just in an elite matchup going up against the Colorado Rockies. If you do want to fade him, there are some other good matchups that you could certainly look to take advantage of. Sonny Gray, he had that tough outing against Milwaukee. Milwaukee, there's a reason why they're a top 3 team against right-handed pitching in baseball this season, though Mitch Keller didn't seem to mind that yesterday. We have Gray now going up against the Angels. Good bounce back spot for him at 10-5. And then Chris Sale here coming off of a matchup against the Red Sox, shut them out, 10 strikeouts. He had 9 strikeouts the game before that. So 3 pitchers up over 10K. I still say Cease is one. If you had to pick Gray or Sale today, Henry, which way would you go?
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. I think those are both great options. Again, I agree that Cease is my guy over the 3. I think, he's just been awesome. But if I got to go between Sonny Gray and Chris Sale, I think I'm going Sonny Gray. Like, even like coming off of the rougher start against Milwaukee, he really didn't pitch bad. He looked pretty good most of the time. It was really just 3 homers. That just happened to be like 3 mistake pitches that got hit. And like that happens. Milwaukee is a good offense. I'm really not worried about it because, again, he still racked up 6 strikeouts. He still went 5 innings. Like, for the most part, he looked good. And so here against the Angels without Trout, like it should be a really good place for him to bounce back. And he could very easily get back to that like 9 or even, we had that 12 strikeout game from him earlier in the season. Like the upside is there pretty much just as much as is with Dylan Cease. I think Dylan Cease is obviously pitching at another level compared to even Sonny Gray, but Gray's been awesome. I like the upside of Chris Sale as well, but if I have to pick one, give me Sonny Gray against the Angels.
Yeah, I like that. And at least for now, you're getting a little bit of an ownership value there. Sonny Gray coming in a couple of percentage points below Chris Sale. Logan Gilbert actually clocking in as your 3rd highest rostered pitcher on the slate. We saw yesterday Kirby was the highest rostered pitcher according to the draft percentage forecaster. Obviously, a very tough outing for Gilbert last time out against Minnesota, but he's been nails for most of this season. Thoughts on running him against Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was in on Kirby big yesterday, and that panned out. He had a good outing, and I think Logan Gilbert's about just as talented as George Kirby. So I think that he can easily bounce back here. Like, yeah, I know he got hit by Minnesota as like the worst outing of his career, but like it happens, right?
Yeah.
I don't think Logan Gilbert's a good enough pitcher that I'm really not worried of this as like a downfall or anything. I think he had one bad game. I think he'll bounce back. The Royals aren't very scary, and he just has looked great all season, has that high strikeout upside, even more so than Kirby. So, if we're playing George Kirby, why would we not play Logan Gilbert here?
Agreed. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting because, it's very top-heavy pitching slate here today, in my opinion. If you are going down into the mid-tier, I like Gavin Stone here today. The Dodgers, obviously, are big favorites against the Giants here today, so you're going to get a little win equity built in there with Gavin Stone, and he's looked good. His last 3 outings, he has 2 wins. He's gone at least 6 innings in all those 3 outings, and no more than 1 earned run, all coming off of solo homers. I wish the strikeouts were probably a little bit more, and the Giants aren't necessarily a team that's going to give him a bunch of strikeout upside, but if he's going to keep limiting the damage, that offense also isn't all that intimidating. So what are your thoughts on Gavin Stone here?
Yeah, I'm also a fan of Gavin Stone. I do think the strikeout upside isn't huge. I just don't think he's a big strikeout guy. But yeah, like you said, he doesn't really need them to be valuable when he's pitching this well. Like, yeah, over his last 3 starts, he's gone 7 innings, 6 innings, 7 innings, like a 0.8 whip over that stretch. And yeah, giving up just 1 earned run each time out. And with the Dodgers, if you can go 6 innings and you're only giving up like 1 or 2 earned runs, you're probably going to get the win.
Yeah,
so again, you don't need a ton of strikeouts to really provide some value here for this cheap.
Yeah, I agree. You look at his last 5 starts, 4 of them, he's gone at least 6 innings, got the win in 3 of them, 19, 17 fantasy points in the no decision, 22 in the win against Miami, pitched against Atlanta, pitched against Toronto, pitched against San Diego, all offenses that are, on paper better than the Giants. So we'll be looking for Gavin Stone in a pitcher's park as well for me in some mid-tier. Where are you with Carlos Rodon? This one is a bit perplexing to me because Rodon's obviously pitched pretty well. The strikeout upside we know can be there. Minnesota is a lineup that is chock full of lefties, yet they are hammering left-handed pitching this season. I can't wrap my head around it. What are your thoughts on Rodon here today?
Yeah, man, it's super weird because on paper it looks like this should be a pretty easy play. Like, yeah, lefty against Minnesota, he's been pitching well, but I don't really want to touch it. Like, I like Rodon. I do think he has talent. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if he goes out there and throws 6 innings with like 8 or 9 strikeouts and can shut down the Twins. But Twins offense has been really hot. And I don't know, there's something that feels weird about this that I don't really want to touch it, even though I know that the upside is there.
Yeah, for sure. Again, he's certainly rounded himself out, looking a lot better over the last handful of starts. Where else are you looking to go in the mid-tier? If you're looking at just rostership, even for value, rather, Michael Wacha is actually getting some love. He's been pretty dreadful, but people can't avoid that strikeout potential against Seattle, I guess.
Yeah, I like Wacha, and sure I get it against Seattle, but he just hasn't really been showing it. I kind of want to see a little more from him before I go back there. Yeah. Another one I kind of like in the mid tier. He's a little more expensive there, but Nick Pivetta.
Sure.
I know he didn't have the strikeouts in the last outing. That's the one thing you're really expecting from him, but it was his first start back from the injured list. It was against Atlanta, and he didn't look terrible. He gave up 3 homers, only the 1 strikeout. But again, his first game back, he is ramping up. I think he's going to be a lot better here against the Rays. The Rays are a whole lot less scary than Atlanta. And this is a guy that is going to get strikeouts. I think that 1 strikeout is going to be an anomaly. That's not going to hold. He's not going to keep getting strikeouts. That is one thing he is good at. Even if he's struggling with giving up hits, he still strikes guys out. And so I think against the Rays, I'm totally happy to bounce back here and think that he can do better than that first outing against Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree with you. Tampa Bay, 12th highest strikeout rate in baseball against righties, so kind of right there in the middle, 23%. And yeah, Pivetta obviously began the year with a 10 strikeout game against Seattle. Don't mind that. Again, one of the few times I think the Red Sox actually have themselves in a pretty good spot. Savali on the other side. The only other pitcher I guess I would potentially look at here would be Slade Ciccone. Again, another guy that, 3 of his 4 starts this year have been pretty good. If he gets a win, there's potential for him to get you 14, 15 fantasy points. He's $6,300. You're breaking down splits, small sample size early on in the year, but Cincinnati against right-handed pitching this year, 27% strikeout rate, second highest in baseball. 216 batting average is dead last. They are also 28th in weighted on base percentage against right-handed pitching. So, maybe Slade Ciccone can hold down a Reds team that is struggling against right-handed pitching outside of a power number. Really, everything else is pretty bad for them.
Yeah, totally. I think the only other guy that jumps out to me a little bit here is also Joe Ross.
Okay.
I think he's kind of intriguing because he's 5,200, and especially if you really need to find that cheap pitcher, if you're pairing with Dylan Cease, again, there's not huge upside here, but Joe Ross has been pitching decent, and against this Pittsburgh offense that has been pretty mediocre. They've been a little better lately, but they've not been good.
Yeah.
And so I get not huge strikeout upside, but he had a 7 strikeout game earlier in the season, and he's just somewhere that's going to go out there and he's going to get you probably 5 to 6 innings without a whole lot of damage. And I think this Milwaukee team is probably going to beat Pittsburgh, so decent win potential.
Sure.
I think just for this cheap, I'm willing to take that kind of risk.
Yeah, obviously he pitched against them earlier this year, 5 1/3, just 1 earned run allowed and took the loss. If you got the win in that game, you're looking at 17 fantasy points. So
exactly.
I like that call out again as a pure punt play on this slate for sure. Moving on over to catcher. Again, that we tend to look for the cheapest catcher available, which for me today, we'll see if he's in the lineup or not. But Soderstrom, $2,200. 4 straight games that have hit, and all 4 games since being called up because everybody in the A's is hitting the baseball right now. Has the dual positional eligibility, first base catcher, but if he's going to be in the lineup again here, a righty on the mound for Houston, I'm $2,200. Why not?
Sure, totally. I mean, and I like Blanco. I don't think I want to stack a whole lot of Oakland today, even though they've been kind of an offense we've been going to more often.
Yeah.
But yeah, for 2,200, if you aren't starting Blanco, he's just so cheap that he doesn't have to do a whole lot to really return that value. He just goes out and hits a double. There you go. You got what you need from him.
Exactly. And this is obviously, Soderstrom here was top 100 prospect. Going into last season, he was 35th in baseball. This year, he's 73rd. Didn't obviously fare too well in his initial cup of coffee up in the league. Last season, hit just 160. But, not going to argue with the current results here in the limited sample size. So if they find a way to get him into the lineup here today at $2,200, I'm certainly going to be looking maybe to go in that direction. Reese McGuire is $3K, hitting 8th. I don't necessarily hate that one either. Where else are you looking at catcher today?
I mean, how about going back to Yasmani Grandal? He was my pick yesterday, and he homered.
Yeah.
And he's still 2,700. Again, I still talked my potential of going for Joe Ross, but if you're not, I'm not scared of putting a guy against him either.
Right.
And so for 2,700, again, 2 homers in the last 3 days, this guy can hit for this cheap. Maybe he goes out and hits another homer.
Yep, exactly. Never been an average guy, but the power certainly always been there. So a couple of cheap catcher options. If you want to spend up, obviously you kind of know the guys to go to there. You certainly can. Moving on over to first base. Ohtani came back yesterday after the 1-game absence. You got him and Freeman against Keaton Wynn. Josh Naylor gets Jack Leiter. Leiter has not looked good in his 2 starts at the major league level. Perez is up there over 5K. What are you looking at when it comes to the first half of the first base position?
Yeah, obviously there's so many good options here, but if I have to pay up, I'm probably going with the Dodgers today. I don't dislike Keaton Wynn as a pitcher. I think he is going to, be something for the Giants, but he has not been great. And this Dodgers lineup, just I think matches up really good, especially these lefties against him. And so Freeman or Ohtani, or putting them both in, at first and outfield, if you can afford it, it is really hard not to do.
Agreed. Working our way down into the mid-tier, I think Cronenworth and Nathaniel Lowe are 2 guys that I've taken a look at. Obviously, yesterday we were in on Cronenworth. Didn't follow through, but you get another chance to run it back there against Quantrill at 4,800.
Totally. And how about Jake Bauers?
Yeah, 4K down here.
4K, and he just kind of keeps delivering. You have another good matchup here with him going against, sorry, is it Priester? Yeah.
Yeah, Quinn Priester, yeah.
Quinn Priester. So I really like how Milwaukee could probably match up against him. And so Barrows will be back in that lineup, and he's been providing power over the last week or so.
Yeah, I like that one for sure, 4K. Not much else for value. I mean, we talked, Soderstrom has positional eligibility. If you felt the need to double spend down at catcher and first base, you certainly can. But that's probably it for me at first. Was there anybody else for you?
Yeah, I didn't really have any of the cheap options at first that were super jumping out to me. Like if I'm going lower, it's probably around that 4K range, and I don't really want to like punt first base.
I agree. Second base position, difficult to punt necessarily when you have Altuve, Semien, Albie is up at the top. Jimenez against Leiter, Ketel Marte against Green. Elite bats up at the top here. How are you ranking them out?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously always all good options, but if I'm picking one, like give me Altuve against the lefty. Like that's just like such a clear answer. It's kind of funny with these second basemen because all of these top guys are like such great hitters against lefties that like when there's only one of them facing a lefty, it almost just is an easy lean that way usually of like, oh, Altuve's got the lefty, let's go him because he crushes lefties.
Mm-hmm. Working our way down a little bit more here. Terang is $4,800. You do have him at Rosario against Pivetta if you're not in on that matchup. Nico Horner, tough spot against Sale, but we've been kind of riding that play out. What are your thoughts on the mid tier?
Yeah, I don't love the mid tier a whole lot. I like Tyra Estrada's been hitting pretty well, but also kind of been on Gavin Stone too. And I don't love the rest of the Giants offense.
Right.
And like his upside's not huge either. And so like this is kind of a position where usually there's someone in this middle that I like, but there's not a whole lot that's jumping out. So I'm probably just going down to like Gavin Lux, like much lower if I have to really punt and get this guy that's got the lefty righty matchup. He's going to be for sure batting in that Dodgers lineup, and so he can provide some value. We obviously seen some more hits out of him the last couple of days, so bat's coming alive, hopefully more, and so I think he provides some upside there.
Sure. Moving on over to the third base position, I like Jose Ramirez up at 6K. Again, I'm really looking to go against Leiter here. Just been as poor as he has performed so far. There's difficult to envision the Guardians being a team that he shuts down. Don't mind Devers either at the 5K range. Those are the two spend ups for me.
Yeah, got to agree with you there. I'm probably, preferring Jose Ramirez if I have to choose one, but he's obviously the most expensive. But yeah, Devers going up against Savali. Savali's been rough, and I want to believe in Savali. He was one of my big guys coming into the season, but he just has not been able to get those strikeouts, and he's been getting hit. So yeah, until he puts it back together, I'm not going to trust Savali, and I'm okay if you want to go against him.
Sure. Going down into the mid-tier range, Josh Rojas at $4,200. I do like Willie Castro. If you're not in on Rodon, is 4K as well. And then Alex Bregman, cover of our show today. I mentioned to you the other day, maybe starting to heat up. Goes 3 for 3 with 2 homers. Now he gets a lefty matchup at JP Sears. If this is the true turnaround, he's probably closer to being 48 and 5K soon. So why not jump on the bandwagon there?
Yeah, I think I mentioned even it was either yesterday or maybe it was the show before talking about, I'm willing to jump on Bregman in a good matchup because the price is so cheap for him. And that was before he had done anything that I was saying like, yeah, I'm kind of willing to take the risk. So now that he's actually shown like 3-hit, 2-homer day, like I didn't think that Bregman was going to be this bad all season.
Right.
So now that he's shown it, and this is a good matchup against Sears, he's always hit lefties really well. I'm absolutely willing to take the 4K and to hope this hot streak continues.
Yeah, I'm full on agreement with you there. There's a lot of guys in that low 4K range at the third base position. Value wise, any value third baseman that you were looking at? I don't think I put any in the playbook, honestly. I'm just trying to think back. I remember scrolling down and did not see much in the way of guys under 4K I was looking to play.
No, there's not a lot that I love. I mean, you got like Jose Miranda's batting 4th against Rodon if you're like stacking Twins, but like I don't really believe in Miranda as having a great bat. So yeah, like most likely if I'm going cheap, this again, I want to be at like the Willie Castro, Alex Bregman, that 4K range, because I think they just provide so much upside. And whereas the cheaper, like you're just not saving enough money for me to be worth the talent drop off.
Agreed. Moving on over to shortstop. Again, a lot of guys up at top. Bobby Witt, Mookie Betts, Ellie De La Cruz, all up over $6,000. Don't think you can go wrong picking any of them. I obviously know Gilbert and Witt, maybe the tougher of the matchup for the three, but all of them are fine. But I, again, just found myself going down towards the mid-tier. Willie Adames with the righty at home against Priester. O'Neal Cruz against Ross. I know you liked Ross, but again, it wasn't to the point where you weren't willing to play against him. And then Jeremy Pena at $4,200. Those were three that I kind of keyed in on today.
Yeah, we are in lockstep there. Those are the exact three that I am looking at too. Obviously, I wrote up O'Neal Cruz yesterday of how great he has been. And so, yeah, obviously, like if I'm pitching Joe Ross, I'm probably not going to put him in. But if I decide to go against Joe Ross, like I'm putting O'Neal Cruz in. But I also think that if you decide to pitch Joe Ross, like Willie Adames against Priester is obviously awesome. I think my favorite of all of them, though, is probably Jeremy Pena. We've already, talked up Altuve and Bregman a little bit. Pena hits lefties so well. He's been having a good season. I've been willing to play him against righties and lefties, but when he's got that lefty matchup, he's even more intriguing, and I just think he's great value.
Yeah, and I told this to Howard, but in a Roto League, I packaged Pena with not Gossman, with Gallen, and I traded for Gunnar Henderson, and now I'm like, what if Jeremy Pena just keeps hitting? I might have lost that deal come season's end. So
I mean, Gunnar Henderson has been pretty ridiculous, though. So
I agree. But Pena has been really, really good.
No,
and they hit him in the middle of the lineup the other day, so that's also something to pay attention to there.
Yeah.
Value wise, again, Orlando Arcia, just because he's in the Braves lineup, 3,500. I know it's not a lefty, but he can hit the ball. And then Mason Wynn against Detmers at 33. Again, not another slate where there's a ton of value at the shortstop position.
No, I'm in agreement with you here too. Yeah, obviously you can always go Arcia just because he's in the Braves, and Win against the lefty. I do like Detmers, and I don't love the Cardinals lineup, but Wynn's still super cheap, and he can get you some hits. So yeah.
Toronto Dave in the chat. What's going on, Toronto Dave? Appreciate you stopping by and tuning in here today. Moving on over to the outfield again. You got Ohtani, Soto, the usual suspects up there. I don't mind going Tucker against a lefty here either. At $6,100, he continues to produce, and Christian Yelich at $5,500 against Priester are some targets for me today.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Christian Yelich is still, I think, like my top guy here, even though like he was top when he was 4,900, a couple days ago, and I was like, yeah, that's amazing. You can't go away. But even this jump to 5,500, like the most expensive he's been, that does not have me shying away at all. He's just so good. And in this matchup against Priester, like I think him and some of those other Brewers could be feasting. And so I'm going to keep riding with Christian Yelich.
Yep, I agree with you. Obviously, Jordan's 54, Ozuna, both of those guys are certainly fine, and maybe even a little bit of value given where they've been at times this season. Popping under $5,000. Any obvious pullouts for you here?
There's the middle range is a little like rough for me.
Yeah.
There's guys that like do provide some upside, but they're just like not super intriguing. Whereas I think if you start getting a little lower there, some guys that I like obviously, Jock Peterson against the righty, sure it's Hunter Green, but like still Jock Peterson, he provides that power. One of my favorites though here is Josh Lowe against Pivetta. Obviously talked up Pivetta a little bit, but I just think this 4,100 for Josh Lowe is way too cheap. He obviously hasn't, he's been injured most of the season so far. So he hasn't done a whole lot, but Josh Lowe is so talented that I just think this is such a cheap price for him.
Yep, I agree with you for sure. Power, speed, potential with Josh Lowe there. Really love Brent Rooker. The guy was on the cover yesterday, came through again, 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. I mean, if he's going to keep playing this way, I mean, I don't even have words to say what we're getting out of Brent Rooker and just the A's lineup in general here.
Crazy.
It is crazy, right? It's like they're playing like the from Major League, the Indians in that movie. They were the team that was like bottom of the barrel, meant to lose so they can move the team. And now they're out here like winning games and being productive. So you got him there. I like the Peterson call. Low, I like Profar down here as well. Verdugo is 4K. Weiler against Savali at 4K. I think there's a pretty good cast of characters there.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said like that 4,500 rate I just don't love because there's like a handful of different guys at like 4K that I like better. Even if they were priced the same, I'd probably be taking some of these 4K guys over that middle 4,000s range.
I agree. Going under 4K, I like Jackson Merrill and JJ Bleday. They're both $3,600 here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think those are good matchups, and they provide some really good value there. And yeah, I like that call out for sure. I think you can still go back to Joe Adele if for some reason you're fading Sonny Gray, just because he's been like so hot lately that like maybe he'll provide another homer. Obviously, I'm not like stacking Angels against Sonny Gray, but if you need a cheap outfield play, it's not the craziest thing.
Sure. You have Lourdes Tavares there against Lively. It's been hot a little bit lately. Darian Blanco's been interesting. Starting to play a little bit more. He's had 11 stolen bases now on the year. If he continues to find himself in the Royals lineup, there's some potential for him to be a multi-stolen base guy. And then Jake Myers was in the lineup the other day. Let's see that. I think the Astros lineup just came out. Is he playing again today?
He's got to be in there because he was my one call out at this range too, was Jake Myers, because I'm sure he's hitting against the lefty.
Oh yeah, with the lefty on the mound. See Astros lineup. Myers, he is hitting 8th today. Dubon is actually in the lineup as well, hitting 9th. So Pena hitting cleanup today, just kind of calling to that as well, as we talked about. Myers has a 306 ISO against left-handed pitching this year. So he's $3,000 if you're looking for maybe just some straight power here. Why am I like there he is? Yeah, you want to give him a run? 306 ISO is pretty legit. So if he gets the right matchup, right pitch there against Sears, could do some damage for you. Any other plays for you here?
No, I think that's about it for me in the outfield. And you could go to some of these really cheap guys if you had to, but I just don't think like there's upside there. But yeah, definitely like Jake Myers, one off or stack him with those Astros today.
Sure.
Great option.
All right, let's get a lineup built. We go Dylan Cease here, and then we got to figure out our SP2. What are you looking to go here?
I almost want to try one of those like cheap options just because Dylan Cease is so expensive and being able to have some money for it. So like I'd be fine with going with your option that you like better of Ciccone, or like I said, I like Joe Ross as a really cheap option as well. But
let's give Ciccone a look here. And if we need the money, I'm fine getting the extra 1,000.
Sure. See what we can build with him first, though.
Exactly. Soderstrom hitting 5th today. It's kind of I gotta plug.
At 2,200. Yeah, totally good with that.
Gotta plug that in. All right, first base 4,300 to play here. We're gonna plug Myers in too because we'll get some value in the outfield. All right, 4,500 to play. First base.
I mean, I love Jake Bauers at 4K. I think that gives us some more money to work with elsewhere too. And
that lineup just came out as well. I would imagine Bauers is in the middle of that lineup. He is. He's also hitting 5th today. So
beautiful.
Good call on that one. Second base, $4,700. We'll have a little bit of money to play because we liked Pena. He's 42, right? Do we try to get Altuve?
I was going to say, if we can try to afford it to Altuve, I would like to do that with having Myers.
All right, so do a little Houston stack there, the 1-4-5.
Yeah, a little unconventional, not all in a row, the 1-4-5-8, but I'm okay with it. I like the Astros today.
All right, so we do Altuve. Let's get Rooker in there next to Soderstrom.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that gives us $5,400 in the outfield. Could just throw another Houston guy in there if you wanted to.
Why not? Right? Really? I mean, I think that he's just as good an option as like Ozuna or any of the other guys here. So might as well just dive into Houston and go Alvarez.
Yeah, JP Sears, good luck to you, sir. So we're stacking Houston, Oakland today with a one off of Jake Bauers. That gets us Dylan Cease. That's what Slade Ciccone. Again, if we wanted to go down to Ross, that gives us an extra 1,100. Does that get us like Ohtani or so close? $100 off.
Soto, you mean, if you want to go there.
True. Could go Soto versus Paddock.
Or Kyle Tucker, if you just switch the Astros.
Switch the Astros, right? Get us the 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure. Tucker's been the hotter hitter anyways. Let's do that. All right. So we got Cease, Ross, Soderstrom, Bauers, Altuve, Bregman, Pena, Myers, Rooker, and Tucker, giving us the Oakland-Houston game stack with the Milwaukee Bauers one-off play. We're spending up for Cease. We're spending down on Ross there. Guys, playbook is out. I'll be updating the rostership throughout the evening here as we close in on roster lock. We appreciate you all tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe so you never miss a live show. Until then, we'll see you all tomorrow, everybody.